Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this class.
Good evening. Good evening.
I know this is our first time, and of course, this meeting is going to be in form of a lecture. It's going to be in form of a lecture. So this is the practical side.
Mr. Lekon, can you maybe switch off your fan? The echo is still coming.
Okay. Let me see. What about now? Is it okay now?
Better now.
It's better.
Yeah. Now, yes.
Okay, very good. So, good evening, everyone. I hope you're all good and fine, as I am fine as well. Tonight is going to be an introduction to. It's going to be an introduction to whatever we are going to learn throughout this workshop. I'll be taking us through the Digital Educator, what it entails, and of course, why we need to be digitally inclined. So for this session, the session is in 3 parts. We are going to be looking at different areas of this lecture, and then we are going to start with what is digital literacy, then what are digital literacy skills, why we should be digitally literate, and we'll talk about skill gap, what is skill gap, then why should we have some key competencies as far as this skill gap is concerned. How do we develop the digital skills? Then, more importantly, we also focus on digital classroom. And what do we do to set up a digital classroom? So these are some of the things we are going to be going into throughout this training. And of course, I expect that at the end of this training, we have a knowledge about what digital literacy means, and of course, how we can set up a very simple digital classroom. And then at the end of this training, I'll also give us a workbook. That workbook I will always be giving to people that are here currently. Please tell those that are on the group. We have about 150 persons on that group. It is those that are on the group, because that workbook has to do with whatever we've said here. What are the actions that we want to take? In my lectures, I've always wanted to make sure that whatever we teach in the class, whatever we say in the class, be that is be, we are able to work on some things, and then the work will be strictly question based on what we have done today, and then we want you to set critical and clear goals. The workbook is highly practical. We're going to tell you how do you set goals to have the skills to set up your classroom, etc. And then I'll be having your feedback from that workbook. So we can continue to monitor. They can continue to monitor everyone from here. So let's delve into it. It's a lecture, but it's going to be a participating class. It's something we have done before. And let me quickly ask, when we say somebody is digitally literate, what do we mean? I'm throwing the question to the whole house now. If you want to talk, I want you to raise up your hand. Like in the classroom, like I've said, it's a classroom and it's going to be interactive. Everything I'm going to say is not still before. There are not things you don't know before. There are things you know. I will just add a few points to it. So if you want to talk, please raise up your hand. When we say somebody is a digital literate, what do we mean? Please raise up your hand if you want to talk. Like I've said, this is a classroom, and then we have to obey the rules of classroom as well. If you say someone is a digital literate, what does it mean? Can I see one or two hands up? Can I see one or two hands up? Who is helping us? Who is talking? Okay. Do you have anyone that have any idea about what digital literacy means? Or when we say somebody is a digital literate. Okay, thank you. Athanga Roy. You have the floor. Please go ahead. Unmute your mic and go ahead.
Greetings. Okay, thank you, sir, and greetings to everyone. To me, the concept of digital literacy, to me, it incorporates having an idea about digital devices and how you can input and process information or data through these devices to have results. That's what I think.
Okay, thank you so much, Athanga Roy. Do we have any other person that want to say something? Okay. Now, before we say anything, of course, the advent of COVID-19 has really shaped education and what education stands for now. Before, we were all relegated, or let me use the word, we were all structured into a traditional classroom. What we do is we have a traditional classroom where everybody teaches. You go to the class, you teach your classroom, and then at the end of the day, you went away, you go away, you give them an assignment, come back to come and mark and the likes. So, but the advent of COVID-19 has really shaped things now, where you're not only costumed to a digital, a traditional classroom alone. You can have a virtual classroom. You can have, even within your classroom setting, you can have a digitally inclined classroom, or you can even have an hybrid classroom where you use both virtual and, of course, a physical means to engage your learners. So when in this dispensation now, when we say digital literacy, a digital literacy is the ability to use information and communication technologies to find, evaluate, communicate, get information for both cognitive and technical skills. That's according to American Language Association. Let me repeat again. There are some keywords that are very important there. You have the ability, being a digital literate means that you have the ability or the capacity to use technology and information tools in order to find, to create, to communicate, to inform, and to even find something. What this means is that, underline the word now, you have the ability, you have the capacity to use these technology tools. We are going to be talking about them very soon. You have the ability to use technology tools to be able to create lessons. And you are not only going to create lessons, you are going to get information for that lesson. Let me start from, of course, as educators, we always start from getting enough information for the classroom. So you are able to use technology to get information in preparation for your class activity. Using that information, you are able to create lessons to deliver in the classroom. You are not only doing that, you are using technology again to communicate whatever you have created and deliver it as it should be to your class, to your learners. Not only that, you are able to evaluate your learners based on whatever learning that you have delivered. So four processes now I've mentioned. And you are able to use four processes I've mentioned. Please, please always mute people so that the noise will not be too much for us. Now, you are able to use technology tools. You are able to use technology tools to be able to, one, get information. I want you to follow the process. I will talk a bit about the process later because it's very, very important. You are able to use technology tools, information and technology tools to get information that is necessary, the needed information that is necessary for your classroom. Not only that, after gathering those information, you are able to create a lesson. Then after creating a lesson, you are able to deliver and communicate the lesson to your learners. And then after that, you are able to evaluate your learners based on the information you have provided in the lesson. The ability to use digital tools for all these four processes makes you a digital literate. Now, that's according to American Library Society Association. Another definition is digital literacy means having the skill needed to live, learn, and work in a society where communication and access to information is increasingly through digital technologies. You are able, being digital literate means you are able to adapt to a growing technology environment. Put it in a very simple language. You are able to adapt. You are able to also find meaning. You are able to operate successfully in a growing digital environment. Of course, you agree with me that we are now in a digital age. In fact, we have moved from information age now to artificial intelligence age. And of course, in between them, all of them require digital tools and skills, as the case may be. So this is digital literacy. And then, of course, we begin to evaluate ourselves as educators. Am I digital literate? Have I been able to use, that's one of the things the work we do for you. Have I been able to use digital technologies to be able to follow through this four processes? If you are not going to get anything today, four processes to be digital literate, to be a digital educator, you must be able to navigate through these four processes using information and communication technologies, digital tools. So, having said that, now let's quickly look at another thing entirely. Let's quickly look at another thing entirely. Another thing I will we will also look at from my slide here is that now, of course, the second definition talks about digital skills. Then we want to look at what are digital literacy skills. What are digital skills? Digital skills are skills needed to use digital devices. Now, there is a difference between having the ability to use the device and having the required skills. So, in this lesson, we are going to be navigating through being a digital literate and then having the right skills and competencies. Having the right skills and competencies to be able to actually function even as a digital literate. Like I usually say to people, I once asked this funny question. I said, being trained as an educator, you are literate as far as education is concerned. Does it mean you have the skill of an educator? The question is no. That means that it is very good that someone is able to, someone is digitally literate, and it's another different ball game for someone to have skills that makes you not only be able to use them, but able to use them effectively. To be able to use them is good, but to be able to use them effectively is better. So, digital skills are skills that they helps you to access and manage information. You are able to communicate. you're able to collaborate, you're able to develop and share digital content and solve problems as far as technology, use of technology within your environment is concerned. So in this lesson, I'm going to be navigating through each of these. Don't forget my major aim of this lesson is to help you understand what a digital educator is and what is expected of you as a digital educator. Now, quickly, I will talk about habits of digital educator. Then we will delve into the digital skill gap, and then I'll begin to make it interactive. Now, let's go into these habits of digital educator. We have about 16 persons here. Like I told you, it's going to be very interactive. There are things that you know before, and of course, when it says habits of digital educators are people that have some quite clear habits that they show. Number one of them is that they are flexible. They are not rigid to changing, to conformity. I once asked an educator. I said, "What if you have all this? You are complaining that the work is tedious and you are not enjoying your teaching and the likes. What if you have tools to work with? Will you be able? Will you want to have it?" She said, "No, no, 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 no. I'm always okay with how I'm teaching. My students are not complaining and the likes." I said, "Wow, this is interesting." Now that person is rigid to how things are over a long period of time. We are saying that one of the habits or one of the characteristics of digital educators is they are flexible. They want to change. They are adaptable to changes that are going on within the system. Let me state categorically clear that the education of yesteryears is different from the education of what we have now, and will be different from the education of the future. Like I do tell my teachers, I tell teachers in my school that if you don't keep up with the pace, you are going to be left behind. If you don't keep up with the pace, you are going to be left behind. That requires that as educators, you need to be flexible to changes. You need to look at changes that are going on within your environment and then adapt to them. Of course, you are aware that in teaching now, you must learn to use digital tools, digital applications to deliver your lecture, and then of course to even engage your students. Okay, so as an educator that will be digital, that will be called digital educator, you must be flexible to these changes. So digital educators are flexible. They are always looking at what is the current trend, what is the latest happening in the education field as far as digital literacy is concerned. Then how do I adapt to the changes? How do I change to this pattern as well, so that my classroom experience will change? Number two, they communicate digitally. Now, if you're an educator here, and you have not started, that's why we state this workshop. How you are going to be communicating digitally as one of the habits or one of the characteristics of digital educators is that they communicate digitally. Now they are moving away from not the traditional classroom method of communication, and then they are blending it with a digitally inclined communication. Of course, that does not erase the traditional communication system where you have the teacher and the student face-to-face communicating to themselves. However, it enhances it by going beyond the classroom setting to communicate to your student, and then more importantly, to also give out information even when you are not there. Okay, then they embrace change. They keep long-range goals in mind. That's number 4. And then they use cloud to make their classroom paperless. I really love this. It's one of the points I really now. educators, we are advancing to a stage in the education field where we will have a paperless classroom where students will not necessarily use paper and pen to learn again, where you will also not use chalk and a marker and a paper and the likes to learn. Whatever you want to do, whether you are passing information, whether you are engaging your learners, whether you are assessing them, whether you are testing their knowledge, it will be without paper. This is the future of education. This is the future of education. So digital educators know this, and then they've started to incorporate that. I remember during the 3 weeks holiday, I told my principal, and I said, well, I told my principal, I said, well, we must preach, we must activate or do what we preach. So I said, starting from this term, I will work less with paper. And she said, what do I mean by that? I said, well, I will start from the other. I will all my classroom. I will organize virtual classroom, and then of course a blended learning situation for my students, and then of course I will evaluate them based on this. With that, I also train the teachers on TEDx, how to use the TEDx platform. Hopefully, if I have the opportunity, this is just a lecture, not a workshop. So I will also train us how to use TEDx. So I created that TEDx platform. I'm a TED educator. I created a TEDx platform where I drop in the video that I've made, and then of course the student click in, it takes them to the YouTube where I've made the videos. Hopefully I will share with you some of my videos in the classroom where I teach my students and the likes. And then after that, I will not only give them the video to watch. Apart from the assessment, I give them further readings. There is a link in that video that give them further readings as additional tests which they can use, and then I'll assess them. And immediately once I assess, it gives me back the response. And of course, I look at whatever thing they have done and assess them, and I send back to them. So it makes learning easy without me carrying paper and pen to mark all the time. I'm able to create an environment where I interact with the student, and of course, we learn, we exchange learning with that. So the digital educators, they are making use of cloud to make their classroom paperless. And by now, as an educator, your Google Drive should be working. That is during our what's it called? There is a pre-workshop video I sent where you were taught how to use Google Drive. Please, you can refer back to that Google Drive, how to use Google Drive. And then by now, as an educator, your Google Drive should be active, where you are creating a cloud-based learning. You share your learning with your student, they give you feedbacks and the like. So then another thing about Digital Educator is they collaborate. I don't know if I have the video here. Before I finish, I will either share the video with you, or I will send the video to the group. Recently, last week, I engaged my student where we have a teacher on my particular subject, and then of course I was teaching my student some of my topics from South Africa. Dr. Steve Sherman will also be here. I think he'll be here on Sunday to teach us Kahoot or something. He's one of our workshop speakers here. So there was a time I also using Empathico. I created a collaborative classroom where my student from Sada Public School in India, they are able to collaborate and discuss whatever acid base and salt within that classroom. So we have a classroom from India and a classroom in Nigeria, 2 teachers at the same time. And then of course we are able to collaborate. Our students were learning. I was adding some input. The students were contributing. And then of course I have some of the videos I will share with us later. So digital educators collaborate with one another, and of course using that they create a better and enriched classroom experience for their students. I evaluated that collaboration and some of the classes we have had before. I asked some of the students, do you enjoy this class? What are some of the things we learned? I understand that they were able to learn better because they have their mates from other parts of the world learning with them, and they're able to extend where we teachers were getting them. So they're able, digital educators are able to collaborate to enhance learning, and then they are skilled in digital assessment. They are not only able to use digital tools to deliver learning or create and share content. They are able to also use it to assess, because there is no learning when there is no evaluation. Learning has not taken place, yes, when there is no evaluation. Of course, we know this as educators. So you are not only able to deliver lecture. That's what I'm doing now. In fact, this my what is it called? This my lecture. The workbook is also on Google Drive that I will share with you, so that you can also, like I've said, I practice what I teach. So you are able to also assess you, and then of course help you create goals to become a digital educator. Using my workbook, I will share the file with you, so you can also go for that evaluation. So you are not only teaching, you are also assessing them. So you are balanced as an educator digitally, and then you are able to use varieties of applications to deliver learning, to evaluate your student, to communicate, and so on and so forth. In the course of this workshop, you are going to be learning about 5 tools and applications. Some of the videos, the workshop videos that we sent, we have about over 25 applications that we have put in those videos that you can watch and learn. So as a digital educator, you are able to use varieties of applications, whether they are evaluation applications, whether they are graphics applications, whether they are presentation applications, whether they are creative applications. You are able to use different applications to create an enriched and effective learning experience for your students. So these are attributes of and habits of digital educators. So far, I've mentioned flexibility clearly. I've mentioned communicate digitally, ability to use cloud to make your classroom paperless, varieties of tools, skilled in digital assessment. So and in one of these things, one of the things you are going to do on the chatbot for me now, before you even do the workshop, the workbook, I want you to put in the comment box 5 of these characteristics and habits you are cultivating in the next 3 months. I want you to put it in the chat box. It's a classwork. Like I said, I'm a teacher, and of course, we are all teachers. I usually like an engaged classroom. So in the comment box, I want you to highlight it in the next 6 months. The habits that you are inculcating as a digital educator, because I am assuming that because at the end of this workshop, the whole process, we are going to make you a digital educator. So I'll put in the 5 habits you are going to be working on, you are going to be inculcating before the next 6 months. I want you to put it in the comment, but I want everybody to participate. It's a participating class while I prepare to move ahead with the lecture. Let's quickly do that. Okay. Okay. While I expect your feedbacks, let's quickly move on to another aspect of this lecture. I will talk about digital skill gap now. I will talk about digital skill gap. Digital skill gap. Okay. If I talk about digital skill gap, let me say this emphatically clear, that we are in an era that if you do not possess some digital skills, you are going to be redundant. Okay, thank you. No, you can post it to everyone. Okay, I can see Juliet. I can see Olusegun doing that. Please, I want everyone to do that. It's very important, because we are not doing this workshop to only stop here. We are going to be monitoring you. We see this as a project. Our goal is that at every point in time, every year we are going to be training 1,000 educators. This is just a pilot one. And then we are not going to leave them alone. We are going to be monitoring them as well. In fact, before this project started, before this program started, we had Edvest. I know Edvest is household name. They are going to be partnering and sponsoring. They are going to be long-term sponsor of this project starting next year. So it's a project on its own because we understand that Africa is still backward. Africa is still backward as far as digital education is concerned. So we want to bridge this gap. So our goal is to see you become digitally inclined. So I want everyone to participate. Now, having said that, when we talk about digital skill gap, there are lots of statistics that shows that less than 30% of educators are digitally inclined. As far as Africa is concerned, I used to want less than 30%. This is based on the several research I have looked at. So I put it on my own figure. Let me use that one now. Based on different research that are going on. We have a lot of skill gap, digital skill gap, as far as education in Africa is concerned. What does this tell us? It tells us that we do not have enough educators that are digitally skilled to ensure digital learning within our system. A lot of factors are responsible for it. Although I wanted to ask you what are the factors that are responsible. Now, I will make it personalized. So I will make it personalized. There is a direct question I'm going to be asking you now. And the question is, up till now, you might not have been digitally inclined before, up till now. There are a lot of reasons that would have been responsible. When we talk about digital skill gap, now we are talking about the space that is between people that are digitally skilled and the ones that are not digitally skilled. We believe that there are not just enough educators that have these digital skills to ensure that their organizations are digitally inclined. They're not just educators. In fact, if you pick randomly in schools now, if you pick randomly in schools, we will see that virtually, let me say, probably in 20 teachers, we just see 1 or 2 teachers that are digitally inclined in every school in Nigeria, even in Africa, as it may be now. This is a digital skill gap, and it's a source of concern because we are in Africa, we are left behind. We are very left behind. Unfortunately, we have speakers from UK, from India, from that will be joining us. They are going to be sharing their experience with you. So we know that in Africa we are quite behind. So there are a lot of factors that are responsible for this. We have new technologies that are coming up always. High cost of these digital classroom and tools. We look at comfort levels of educators. We look at access to digital infrastructure. These are common factors that are responsible for this digital class. Of course, in generally in Nigeria or in Africa generally, we look at access to digital infrastructure. We know that we have a lot of schools that do not have this infrastructure to drive this digital change that we're thinking about. And then more importantly is the comfort levels of educators with technical solutions. Comfort level. A lot, like I've said, the experience I share with you. I've talked to a lot of teachers like that, and they tell me, "Oh, you don't worry me, don't worry, don't disturb me. I'm okay with this." Whereas how much are they even paying us that I'll be stressing myself? I've had a lot of encounters like that. People telling you, do they need to be stressing themselves doing this and the like. So I noticed that the complacency of so many educators to be relegated to non-technical part of education now is so much that people do not want to embrace technical innovations, technical capacity to drive classroom experience. This is a major factor, and this skill gap is doing us a whole lot of harm. We will look at it very shortly. But before I do that, I'll begin to look at it. I want you to put in the comment box. I'll be going through your works now. What you do, what you use tech analyze. The reason why I use 5 is that so that every single month, you are going to be facing one goal each. Where I train my student, even in classroom, normal our student classroom. When I say this month, this is what we want to achieve, everybody achieve it. So when the way I train people is, I want to see that you are not only learning this, you are setting goals to improve. So that's why I said you should put 5. I really give you. I know the first month you might be scrambling to get your food. That's why I said in 6 months. So maybe before the end of this month you are still scrambling. Which one should I start with? So by July you want to pick a particular characteristics or habit, a particular goal out of this 5 and work on it. Oh, this month I want to collaborate more as a digital educator, collaborate with other digital educators, and then you are creating a lot of things. I will share with you how we are going to do that. So you are creating a lot of collaborative platforms to do that. So every single month you have a goal to achieve. In no distant time, in 6 months, you are transformed digitally. So that's why I asked you to do this. For those that are doing it, I celebrate you for that. So you are going to put in comment box now. Why you as a person, as an educator, what is responsible for the digital skill gap in your organization, in your school? I want you to put it in the comment box. What is responsible? Then you as a person, why are you having this digital skill gap? So in your school, as an organization, you put it. What do you think is responsible for this digital skill gap? Then as a person, what is responsible? Put it in the comment box. I want to see. Put it in the comment box. I want to see. So you know what you are going to be tackling at the end of this workshop. I want it to be more as practical as possible so you can see it in the light. So as you are putting it, let me share another slide with us. Now, having said this, let's check another thing entirely about this digital educator. Let's look at importance of a digital classroom. We will now talk about how you can these digital competencies. What are the digital competencies that you need? And then we'll begin to look at. I want you to make it. I do not want to exceed, my time. We have a stipulated time for this, and I'm always looking at towards the time. Now, when you have a digital classroom, when you are digitally inclined, this is what we have. Oh yeah, I'm still expecting your feedbacks. Let me see. Okay, somebody said did not get my last task. Okay, the task I gave before was that as an organization, I mean your school now, what do you think is responsible for the digital skill gap? Of course, by now you should understand the concept, what you mean by digital skill gap. What is responsible for having a skill gap in your school? That's number 1. Then number 2, as a person, as an educator, why do you think you have this skill gap? What do you think will be a major factor why you have this skill gap? So I want you to put it in the comment box. I hope you get my point now. I want everyone to participate. So please be putting that while you listen to me as I move on. Now, when you have a digital classroom, it becomes more engaging. A digital classroom makes make your class more engaging. Now, of course, we agree with me that in a traditional classroom, it is possible that you are teaching. Of course, we have been taught a lot of techniques to ensure that a lot of teaching method to ensure that our class will become engaging. The lecturing method, the project-based method, the demonstration method, etc. Of course, I know we know that as an educator, but when you compare, and I'm going to give you this after this class and this workshop. One of my major assignments for you is that I'm going to ask you to create a digital classroom where you are going to teach the same topic. You are going to pick a particular topic. You are going to teach it traditionally, and then you observe, you evaluate your classroom. I'm going to give you a work on that. Evaluate your classroom based on certain things. How are they able to learn? Were they able to regurgitate? Were they able to, when you assess them, were they able to pass very well? And a lot of that. You ask critical questions after the classroom. And then you are going to set up, you are going to have a digital classroom as well. And then this teaching the same topic. You are going to teach the same topic. And then you compare that traditional classroom with your digital classroom. And then you see the difference. So with that difference, I'm expecting about 100. It's a research I'm also still undergoing, and we are compiling our reports together. So when you need 100 educators, thank God we are over close to 200 registered for this. We are going to need about 100 educators to do this. Then you give us a report. I'm going to create a statistics for your report. We are going to see it at the end of this workshop. So you see the difference. We are going to publish that report. So when you have a digital classroom, it creates a more engaging. And let me see if I can get a video. Let me see if I can get a video of my classroom that I research on. If I can't get it, I will drop it. One of the things I observed was that when I engage the student digitally, they are able to, there are different ways digital classroom that comes. Sometimes you can use an hybrid classroom where you use technology. There was a laboratory experiment we did in the lab. I think that was last week, yes, if I can remember. I tried this on my own. I tried taking them to the lab. It was on SS1, so I teach chemistry. It was on experiment based on Charles law, Boyle's law, and the like. So I was trying to demonstrate this, what's it called? This Boyle's law and the like with them. I noticed that some of them still have issues. Then what I intend to do is that just a simple creating a simple digital platform where I used a projector and a video. They watch the video. It's as simple as that. I will teach you how you can create a simple digital classroom. It's not necessary you have a lot of fun. All of them have laptops. All of them have this. If you have that, very fine. If you don't have, that's a good. So I used all of them have laptops in my school, but I didn't even ask them to do that. What I did was I did two things. I did inside the classroom, digital classroom, and then beyond classroom, digital classroom. I will explain. What I did was I get a projector inside the classroom. I took them to lab, get a projector. I played some videos. I played some videos on those experiments, and then for the student, and then they looked at a particular teacher doing the same experiment step by step. And then, of course, I will pause, I will do it at the same time with them. And then they were asking, why would this teacher do like this? Or you said, can do like this. They were asking a whole lot of questions and the like. I said, fine. And then I was explaining, I was putting them through. And then when that person was doing it as well, I stayed by them, I was engaging them. Okay, you two start doing it. And they were asking questions. I noticed that they were able to, the class was engaging than when I did it myself. Now, what does this mean? You create an engaging environment when you are digitally inclined. The same thing I took it to a Google Classroom, and then we were talking. Some of them, because it was a virtual classroom. Some of the questions they would not ask in the classroom. And I asked them, why did this kind of question. He said, Master, you are not here, so I won't be able to look at your face where you are going to be. Sometimes your face is not your face, I might be afraid, but I look at it and okay, now that we are not seeing ourselves face to face, you are able to engage me more. I said yes. I said that's fine. So I compared these two, the traditional one that I use. When you have a digital classroom, it helps you engage the student more. Then students are able to retain better. Students are able to retain better. Of course, digital classroom involves you creating contents that are also not going to be word alone. They're going to be pictures. For instance, what we are doing now. If I ask you now, like digital skill gap, I created. When you see that picture, there was a gap between them. If you cannot even remember anything, when you see that gap, you can easily relate that this is a digital skill gap. So your students are able to retain better when you engage them in a digital classroom. And then when you engage them, there is easy access to information. For instance, it is not the TEDx classroom I create. It is not possible for me to give them references to a particular topic I do. Using traditional classroom, I'll give them references to this or additional videos they can watch and all of those. I won't be able to do that in the classroom. There will be no time that will administer that for me. We have 40 minutes to deliver a lecture. We have maximum of about 80 minutes to deliver a lecture. It will not be enough. But creating a digital classroom like TEDx that I said, where I create that classroom, I give them additional information, some textbook, some materials in a particular textbook. When I create lectures like that, I create about I use about 5-6 additional textbooks they can use. I create that content, I look at different textbooks, and then the best content out of this textbook, I create it. Okay, click this link, it will take you to this web page where you can read more about the particular topic I've taken you. And then I also add additional videos. Apart from what I've said and the videos that I've created, you can watch additional videos that will help you. And then I create a traditional classroom will not be able to afford me all of this time. But with a digital classroom, I can create a lot, it gives me access to information, and I can create a lot of content. Additionally, you are able to prepare your student for the future. One of the arguments I give when people say, oh, we don't need this, or it is not time for us to use, I said, by now, we need to start preparing our student for the future. Any student that is not digitally inclined now is at a disadvantage, because when you compare their counterparts overseas, they are miles ahead, and that is why you see what's it called, foreign people getting more innovative. Their students are moving faster. Because they have been exposed earlier. They are coming up with innovations much faster because they have been exposed earlier. So when we begin to engage digital classroom, we are preparing our students for the future. I interacted with one of my colleagues overseas. By God's grace, during by December, we're going to be having a global mentorship for educators. We have about 20 mentors from about 20 countries in the world that will be coming in for that. I discussed with Dr. Mrs. Andrea from Mexico, and then one of the things she told me was that we people in Africa, we are not taking the digital serious. I said, why did you say that? He said, when we compare what they are doing, in fact, she told me that they have been compared that in their classroom, at least make sure that digital platforms or tools that you are using to enhance your learning. It is in Mexico now. If you can research it and confirm what I'm saying, it is compulsory now. In fact, the way they are doing it now, all students have access to digital information. Yes, and then here in this space, we are still lagging behind. So our students must be prepared for the digital world. Part of it, part of the thing I do is that in my project-based approach to teaching, I give my student PowerPoint presentation, create slides for this particular topic, and come and present in the class. It's part of it, the digital tools, how to use it. And then I will say, I'm using this particular platform. I create a video on YouTube. using this topic, I will access that topic. I'll watch a video and I'll ask some of the students to also watch the video, and then we'll make assessment of that video. What I'm simply doing is that prepare them for the future. Ability to use digital tools to be able to create content themselves, share content, present content, communicate, and collaborate. So when we use digital tools and when we have digital classroom, we prepare our students for the future. They are able to acclimatize themselves with the things that happen with the future. The truth of the matter is, the way education is going in the next 50 years is going to be completely paperless. I have said this in different conferences that I've spoken in. We are going paperless in the next 50 years. In fact, 50 years is even too much. 25 years. So for our students, and of course the work environment that we are now, you should also know that the work environment is remote now. It's becoming more remote, where we use a lot of digital tools to work. So when you begin to engage your student now, you are doing them in favor of preparing them for the future. And then it improves their academic performance. It aids work simplification. There was a time I was telling my provider, she said, if not for the fact that Nigeria is lagging behind, but she said we are going to introduce, it's going to be an iPad. I told her by next 10 years, in fact, even in abroad now, and we use them writing lesson notes all the time. We have what is called e-lesson note. Do we have anybody that know about e-lesson notes? If you know about it, please give signify. Let me know you. Let me see. If you know about, raise up your hand if you know about e-lesson notes now. If you have heard of e-lesson notes before, or if you have even used it before, okay, that's number one. Do we have any other person? I have my reason for asking. Okay, Grace, read me. Okay, 2 persons. Now there is something called e-lesson notes. Hardly will you find people abroad now writing. Like there was a time I was there in education in Nigeria. Now we are just suffering ourselves. Every single time we write lesson notes, and I observed that it is that lesson note that makes some teachers not to even have time for themselves. They write and write. How many? You can unmute yourself now if you share with me. Unmute your mics and confirm what I'm saying. You observe that some educators will write lesson notes and write lesson notes and write lesson notes a lot, so that they will not even have time. If you ask, there was a time I visited one of my friends in his place on a Saturday afternoon. I noticed that man, you are still writing lesson. I say that's why I see him. He's owing about 3 weeks lesson notes, and he was writing lesson notes throughout the Saturday. It was lesson notes he was writing. So I laughed because I was like, of course, you know how tedious it is to write lesson notes, especially if you are teaching more than 1 or 2 subjects. How many can confirm with me? If you can confirm, please say something. It is very funny. It's very funny too.
Yeah, so it's not an easy thing.
How is that all?
You write and in fact, I know some persons immediately they get
My brother, it's very
first thing they
serious.
do is that
It's a serious issue. In fact, as some schools are not even helping matters. They are not helping matters. So we force you.
Okay, share your experience. Olusegun Onoleke, let me hear you, please.
What I'm saying is that some schools they are not helping matter at all. What they will do is that you must write it, even when you have the content with you on your laptop. No, there's no avenue to project what you have on your laptop because they won't provide for it. They won't provide it. You get it now. So what we have, they have to force you to do it manually. That is the problem. That's the problem we are facing.
And then that will take a bunch of your time.
Exactly.
So in fact, some of the time that you're supposed to be using to be productive in some other things, you use it writing lesson notes. In fact, one of the things I found out is that when a teacher said he or she is busy at home, find out 50% of what he or she is doing is writing lesson notes.
My brother, I was discussing with somebody today that
Okay.
unless we are able to change people that are in the ministry, that's the only time we can get it done properly. Because the people in the ministry, they are old people that are still using this old system that we are talking
I'm there.
about.
Well,
That's just it.
That's
And
exactly the challenge.
if they come to your school, what they will ask of you is your lesson
hello.
note and your lesson plan. They will only ask you lesson note and your lesson plan. They don't even know the method you are using in the class. They don't mind. What they after is your lesson note and your lesson plan. They don't mind. Unless we are
Yeah.
able to people at the ministry, if they have this kind of orientation, and that will have helped the matter.
Okay, you are very right. You are very right. You are very right. And that's a challenge. And of course, what I'm looking at, we are going to take this to a lot of places. We are just starting, but our focus is to start with educators first. That it is possible for you to go digital. In fact, it's one of the things I observe
No.
is keeping a lot of teachers.
No.
It is making them not to be productive. I imagine I have a friend that teaches about 4 or 5 subjects. She's a female, and she has a lot of things to do at home, and she'll be writing lesson notes for these 4 or 5 subjects. And she's even teaching in a primary school, and even primary school is even worse. So you want to write a lesson note every day. If you meet with some boss, every day you must put it there. So she's the time to be productive, to research, to be better as an educator. I asked her, we are having some skill development for educators. We're having this and that. She said, I can't have the time. I will take care of my kids. I will do this. And I will write lesson notes from that. And then you also see our assessment as well. Instead of assessing some students online and the likes, you have to mark and mark and mark where you can program some things. Your student can access your assessment questions online, and then when they are doing the assessment, it's giving them the answer immediately, and you are even explaining it. In my TEDx class, I create the evaluation, the assessment. Once you answer the question and you get it wrong, at the end of the what's it called, it will bring the correct answer and explain it in total for you. So in that case, even when I'm not there, my students are assessing themselves and they are learning. It makes the work simplified. And so I can create as much lessons as possible. And then my students are learning while I might be doing some other things. I don't usually, in fact, this time now, what I do generally now, I just go to the classroom, and instead of teaching, I interact. In the course of this workshop, we are going to be learning about flipped methodology. Instead of teaching them, I interact. It makes it more engaging because I would have created a virtual classroom. Then, apart from using Zoom, Google Meet, even WhatsApp, apart from using my TEDx and the likes, they would have learned and the likes. So when they come around, oh, master, I did this work that you gave us online, and then when I got the answer wrong, and then you said something like this. This is the correct answer. Can you explain better? And then we start engaging ourselves. Even when I'm not there, there are questions they can answer, there are books they can read, and the likes. So your work becomes much simpler. And then the learning experience is rich enough. Then student takes ownership of the class because they are learning at their own pace. So they can say, okay, this is what I've learned. Let me digest this. When you are talking in class, because of you want to cover a lot of things, you own the class as a teacher in a traditional classroom. You are the owner of the class. But in the virtual or in the digital classroom, whether it's virtual or hybrid or blended, you own that the student, or it is student centered because the student can say, okay, let me pause in this place. You can your student in your classroom cannot ask you to pause because you have to deliver your class in about sometimes 40 minutes at the minimum. So it gives them the ownership of the class, and then because they know that they can learn at their own pace, they tend to learn better. And then in fact, it also gives you a learning opportunities as an educator. You also access whatever digital content you have created. So these are critical importance of digital classroom. The reason why I'm sharing this importance is that I want to create a passion, a motivation, a zest for us to start going towards being digitally inclined, because you are going to learn a lot of tools in this workshop. So my duty is for you to see why you are learning those tools, why you need to be digitally inclined. So when you know the reasons now, so when you learn those tools, you want to practice them. So these are few importance of digital classroom that you need to really know. Now my time is fast, but I have about 90 minutes to deliver this lecture before I give phone call. So I won't be able to take all the slides. So let me quickly talk about while I ask you a few questions. Now, from what I've said so far, who have a slightest idea? Because I will talk about digital skill competencies now, or how you can create a digital classroom. Then talk about digital skill competencies and we end for today because of time. I wouldn't want a situation where we take a lot of time. Who can tell me from what I've said so far and the examples I've been giving, how do you think you can now start to create a bit of a digital classroom? Tell me, I want you to share with me. If you want to answer that question, let me know. Open the slide yet. Please, if you want to answer that question, I want you to see your hand. I want to see your hand up. From what I've said so far, what are the things? What do you think? What are the things that okay? Some people say make use of e-lesson notes. Okay, somebody said you plan it. I said from what I've said so far now, how do you think you can create a digital classroom? I've mentioned from some of my own examples. How do you think you can create a digital classroom? Okay, Juliet, you want to talk? Please, I just want 3 or 4 persons. Okay. Juliet, who again? Let me have 1 or 2 persons. So I prefer a mail now before I share my slide on that, and then I'll talk on a few more things before we leave. Okay, Juliet, let me have you.
Okay, so good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah. Okay, from the little I have learned, I really do think that the only way that a digital classroom can be practiced consistently as an individual, as a school, is when we put these major things into practice. Like you earlier said, for the lesson notes. Now, of course, the majority of us will just want to write the lesson notes because we have to submit. It doesn't portray how well our lesson will turn out to be. So if I have more time to use rather than writing my lesson notes, I would rather think of what I would give to these children that will make them better. If, for example, I want to teach something like, let's say, soil. I get a video of soil. I use, maybe, for example, I use a slideshow to make a combination of a video for them to watch and understand how a soil looks like, the different types of soil, the kind of soil that will be used for planting, the one that will be used for building, the one that will be used for molding. When they see these things, they see the illustrations, they would understand better that this is how it is, and it sticks to their brain. And the major challenge will always be that, fine, as human beings, you just need to be consistent to be able to achieve what you want to achieve. But at the end of the day, like you earlier said, that your colleague will always complain, okay, there's no time to do this, there's family and all. We still need more time to do things that are more important rather than the ones that are not important. And also, trying to find, there are a whole lot of apps online. There are a whole lot of apps. Like you rightly said, it is the fear of knowing. We don't even want to know. We want to remain where we are. Like for today, I just recently found out about an app that is called Twinkly, if I got the name correctly. Yes, and I noticed that Yes. So, and I noticed that that app has to do with a whole lot of classroom templates, teaching templates, where you
Yes.
can get materials. If you want to teach any topic, you can easily just go there. You will get a topic, you will get materials to use, pictures, templates, and all.
Yes.
So I
Teaching
really do
aids,
think that,
instructional materials.
yes, exactly. So I really do think that when we try as much as we can, when we don't even wait for trainings, the phone is there to be used. When you search for those things, you will see. It's just because we don't put in too much time to source for things. But if we do, we would see. And we can also look at the usage of teaching apps that can involve children, basically. For example, you have like Kahoot. Of course, when you use things like Kahoot in a classroom, you would know how effective that classroom would be. And for the cloud, you also mentioned that will also do a very good job. And you also have show video, if I'm not mistaken. Those ones who can help you generate some short clips for your classroom. So I just really do feel that when we make our time to check well, we would see things that will better teaching. And for sure, I do believe that people should not work based on how it has been. If it has to improve, let it improve. It doesn't need to remain the way it is. So if the Ministry of Education doesn't believe that we need to move, I would have to move so that they would understand the reason why I have to move. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Juliet. I love your submission. I really wanted to help everybody, but there won't be time. I would have loved that we have a lot of interaction. There's some point you mentioned that I have slides for how to develop digital skills and the likes. I didn't show it here because I want to keep to time. But of course, I've shared the slide with you. I will drop some voice notes as well, so you can also learn better after the classroom. Sorry, I have to skip a lot of things. I would have mentioned that. Now, let me quickly say this. Now, know that if you are becoming digitally inclined, you are not only doing it because you are in that school. You are doing it because you need to evolve for opportunities that are coming. Let me repeat again. You are evolving as an educator, not because of your organization that you are presently in, but because of the future. I have one of my friends, like he attended one of his trainings that we are doing now before, and then of course he asked me a lot of questions, and then I was able to answer him, and then he started practicing a lot of things like that. Two things happened. Number one, the management called him. We noticed that your classroom is changing. You are doing this, you are doing that. Don't leave other teachers behind now. Can you organize something else, or call that person to come and teach us on this, and let us also evolve like you are evolving. So he organized a program for the school, the teachers engaged, and then the school started moving. And then apart from that, he got an opportunity to travel to Canada, and then he moved. By the time he reached that place, he said, "Thank God I have evolved. I would have been a complete nuisance." So in order to be relevant globally, our goal is not, as an educator, know that your goal is not to be a local professional. You are meant to be a global professional, so that anywhere you find yourself, you become relevant. I am emphasizing this because for you to see the reason why you need to start creating, even at the smallest minimum, a digital classroom. You need, irrespective of whether your organization is changing or whether the ministry is changing or the likes. I'm purchasing that point. You need to start creating a digital classroom that can aid your teaching, not because of the organization alone. It will help them, but because you want to go global. You want to interact with global people. By the grace of God, I have teachers in all countries across the world. And then when they talk about a particular thing, I say, "Oh, I think I've laid my hand on this one before. I think I've done this before." And it makes our collaboration, our interaction more sweet because I'm not left behind. So to create a digital classroom now, let me say this, it is not costly. Let me remove that assumption that it is costly to create a digital classroom. You may not need to have a whole lot of things to be able to create a classroom. When we talk about digital literacy, let me quickly remind you that digital literacy is not about using digital tools alone. It is about your ability to create, or get information digitally. I asked one of my teachers when I was training them one time. I asked them, how many of you, apart from what is written in the textbook and what you have, usually make research online and the likes to be able to make your classroom enriching? So some of them said, what I do is just to write and drop from the textbook, and probably unless. I said, wow, that is, you are a digital illiterate. And then, of course, you might be a teacher, but you are digitally naive. The process now is that you want to move from being digitally naive, to become a digital literate, and then to become digitally fluent. I want you to write this down. Your roadmap now as an educator is from being digitally naive to become digitally literate, and then become digitally fluent. There's a difference between literate and fluent. So that's the process. As of now, many people are digitally illiterate. So you want to naive. Let me know you illiterate. So you don't have what's it called. We are naive now. Our goal is to move from that to become digital literate, and being part of digital literacy is to get information using digital tools or digital technologies. You get information, then the information that you get digitally, you create a digital lesson, a digital classroom experience. Then once you create, you communicate it, then you evaluate it as well. And then one of the platform you can use to communicate whatever things you are creating is a digital classroom. Now, note that it does not require that you spend a whole lot. When I started, I will share I usually like sharing personal experience. What I started with is I started creating lessons during the holiday. I started creating lessons online. I spoke during the PTA meeting. So you can learn from what I'm about to say now, and then pick up your point. During the PTA meeting, I said, oh, parents, even if you have to monitor your children, please do. I want them to have access to phones and the likes. We are going to be creating lessons online and the like. I will give you my YouTube page. Go to my YouTube page. That's what we did for educators. We have YouTube page for educators. I asked you to like it so that you can get this content. So I have my own personal page, and what I do there is to teach chemistry. So I started creating lessons online. Now I noticed that when I created those lessons using YouTube in my house now, it's because time will not permit me. I would have shown you I have a board in my study room, a whiteboard. So in my house, I have a board. I created lessons. I put it on YouTube. And when I put it on YouTube, and I will tell the student, access this. They watch the video and the likes. I noticed that I was just creating those content. I told you content creation. I noticed that there was no way to evaluate them. I discovered TEDx. So what I do is that to create my lesson on YouTube, and then give the link on TEDx. Then apart from that TEDx, because I cannot give a whole lot of information, I'm talking about beyond classroom now. So I'm talking about creating digital classroom beyond your normal classroom. I will still talk about in your classroom. I noticed that I could not access them. So I dragged the link to the TEDx. I had additional videos that, apart from my videos, so you can watch these other videos to support your learning. I had some additional textbooks. I picked a particular link in a particular textbook. I put it there so that it will not be blocking for them to be searching. So I put it there, and then when you are reading a particular you are listening to you are watching what I'm saying. You are also checking some additional information about it, and then after that, you also have some links to videos that you can also watch. Then immediately you do that, you do assessment. Once you do assessment, the score, you get your score, and then the correction will be there. If you miss it, it will bring out the right answer and explain further. So you're able to balance whatever you are learning. That's beyond classroom. We tried that during the holiday, and then parents were calling me. They said, and I made sure that I spaced it very well. I said, I'll be doing this twice in a week. So I did it on Monday and Thursdays. So some of the parents are on Wednesday evening, Master, have you dropped that? They were even happy to have that. And then they noticed that their children were getting engaged. So when we do it, by the time we resume back, and I said, how many of you have gone through? Everybody said they have gone through the lessons. And like, we have covered all the topics in the new term. We've covered that. And I was using, for people will say, what if I don't have a laptop? I was using my phone. I just had my phone to use, only my phone. I'm not talking even about apps now. I will talk about apps later. I was using my phone. So we've covered a whole lot of all the topics. So when I pick a particular topic, I said, oh, we had an assessment on this. Some of you picked this, some of you picked that. Then they asked, oh, Master, I picked this. What you and you said our answer is this. Can you, sir, explain why the answer is this? Then in our further reading, the textbook said we should do this, but you are saying this. Can you correlate? Now it becomes not a teaching again. It becomes an interaction. So I have moved from class teaching to class interaction. So that's a practical step in creating a digital classroom beyond the classroom. Now, what that has afforded me is that it makes my work faster. In fact, I don't stress myself in the classroom again. You will teach. They have learned it before. I just want to re-emphasize it. That's under learners what's it called. Of course, you know that part of it is repetition. Part of the strategy is to repeat whatever the learners have learned psychologically in them. So I just claim to repeat what they are familiar with it now, and then engage them in discussion. Why do you think they this from your knowledge of what you have said in that protocol? And then we continue to interact. In fact, some of them will now bring some research work they have done. Master, but you said this, but they said this is this. Why is this? It becomes more interactive. You have a student there that will say, I also read that this is it. Does that answer your answer? Your question rather. So it becomes an interactive class. I noticed that my provider will come and say, why is your class so interactive like this? In fact, there was a time my principal said, every teacher should come to my classroom and look at how I teach. And they did that for a single whole week. They were coming to my class every single time I have a class to come and learn. So it makes it much easier. So you can create a digital classroom beyond the classroom. Very simple. Use your phone to create videos. And if you don't have a good phone, you can have videos online that are related to what you are teaching. Create that. And as simple as it is, create a Zoom class for your student. In part of the workshop, we send a video on how to use Zoom. Create a Zoom class like this. Use whiteboard. There is a whiteboard on Zoom. Use whiteboard. Teach them. Then, of course, you make it more. So you can create. I even go as far as using WhatsApp teaching. That's beyond classroom. So you can use WhatsApp. You can use Zoom. You can create lessons on Google Classroom or YouTube. Then you can use TEDx, and then some of these tools they are going to be teaching you as well. You can use them, create beyond the classroom. Let it be that you send it before the classroom, even during the holiday, send it, and then let them learn. When you come to class, you enhance whatever they have learned. Now, within the classroom setting, I hope you are listening. Am I communicating? Is everyone following me?
Yes,
If you're following me, let me. If you're following me, let me know. Yes. Okay. I want to have. Okay. Good.
I'm following you.
Good.
I'm
so
there.
I hope you are jotting down, because I'm going to ask you your own.
Hello.
How you're going to.
Hello.
Okay. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
I'm following.
Okay. Good. We are going to summarize what I'm trying to say. Your own way. How do you intend to create a digital classroom beyond your normal classroom, and even in the classroom. I have talked about beyond the classroom now. Before I talk about this point, I'm just sharing my personal experience. I will talk about this point. Now, again, you can create a digital classroom in your method. In the hybrid method now, you are using a digital class, a traditional method of teaching where you communicate verbally, but at the same time, you are using digitally enhanced tool, as simple as a projector. As simple as a projector is, it go a long way. As simple as using tools like Empathical, you'll be taught how to use Empathical. I really love that Empathical and Flipgrid because Empathical allows you to connect your classroom with another classroom that is similar around the world. You can connect with 1, 2, 3 teachers across the globe, and then of course, and you'll be interacting. Your students from India and students from South Africa and students, they can interact together, and then it enriches their knowledge. In fact, I observed that my students really like it a lot. They will ask you, Master, when are we connecting with our friends in South Africa? When are we connecting with our friends in? they have made it a habitual. But what I do is I make it probably once in a week, and sometimes once in 2 weeks. But I make sure that at least they are able to connect 5 times in a term. So they usually ask me that question, Master, when are we connecting now? We want to know what they are doing there. If we are doing the practical classroom, they can see themselves. Oh, we are not making this. Our teacher. I'm talking about collaboration. We leave them to also discuss. While I ask the fellow teacher, okay, what do you think to this? How can we improve this and like so? As far as using some applications like Empathical, Kahoot, Nearpod, etc., you can create a very enriching classroom as well. If you bring in projector or laptop and coming up with a small video on what you want to teach. I did that a lot during the practical class. What I do is that before I start a practical class, I use a projector, bring them a video, let them watch. Let them watch that video. And then I also go to the fact that I create slides. In fact, I don't know many times I've used that I've not used slides now. For topics that are like inorganic chemistry, that you really for students to understand. I now understand that my students understand inorganic chemistry faster, because inorganic chemistry, science teacher, is very boring. I don't know if you have a what's it called. If you have a science teacher here, you can testify to my what's it called. If you have a science teacher here, if you are teaching organic chemistry, students are always bored. When I was in secondary school, when I was even in university, when we did courses like that, very boring course, very boring. What's it called? But I noticed that when I started using a blended classroom, it's not boring again. What I do is that when I'm teaching that kind of subject, how they prepare those what's it called? I play the video. I have slides for each of my lesson. So it's one of the things you should take away from this class now. Creating slides, creating PowerPoint, a good presentation for each of your lessons. Don't care whether your school can do it or not. No, I don't look at that. I create slides for each of these lessons. And then inside that class, there are slides. I have pictures to back it up so that it can be enriching. Like I do in this slide now, you can see pictures. So they see, so I'm correlating whatever I'm saying with the pictures. And then before I begin to share the slide, if there is something like this, a short video about that lesson, I play that short video. I make sure I plan my lesson so that out of that 40 minutes, they can watch a video of 5 minutes. I do the presentation for 25 minutes, and then I ask questions for 10 minutes, and then I wrap it up. So as far as creating short videos for that class, and then creating slides, and then using that slide to explain it, and then you also add it with a classroom demonstration. Probably apart from the slide, you also demonstrate it. They can see the slide, they can see pictures on the slide, you are correlating it, and you have something that is physical for you to also demonstrate. You even put yourself in the shoe of a student where a teacher is able to provide all that in a single classroom experience. How are you going to feel? How engaging is it going to be? How well will student learn? I want you to put yourself in the students, put yourself as a student now and type in the comment box. Tell me how the experience will be. Put it in the comment box, please. Tell me how the experience will be. Let me say I am a teacher now. I am your teacher, and then you are all my students. And I want to teach you hydrogen and its compound. Let me just use it as an example. I want to teach you hydrogen and its compound. When I came to the class, I bought a glowing splint to demonstrate, and I bought a model of hydrogen to also demonstrate, and I bought a lot of material to demonstrate. And then I show you a 5-minute video of everything about hydrogen in 5 minutes, where they are showing a lot of how the reactions of hydrogen is on the ice. And I also have my materials on ground to show you some of the reactions, demonstrating them. And then I show you a slide, something like this, that is bringing a picture of how hydrogen is, the different colors, the reactions and lights. Now, and then I combine it. I combine it with a flip class. For the class, I have done a video about hydrogen. I've done a video about hydrogen, and then you have done some assessment and the likes. As a student, tell me how your experience is going to be. Put it in the comment box. If you are a student and you are in my class, what is likely to be your experience in that classroom? The class will be so interesting, I may not want to leave for another. And that's one of the things. In fact, so a lot of teachers will complain that I am taking their class. Most students want to say, we want Masamera to take us. Let Masamera come and take us. They always want my class all the time. In fact, it got to a point where my principal, my HODs would say, don't allow this student to get used to it. They don't want another teacher to come and teach them. Every time like this, Masamera, what are you doing now? And so your classroom becomes engaging. It becomes interesting. It becomes lovely. Student can see, student can hear, student can talk, student have previous knowledge. They have been assessed before. They are coming in to just interact and ask questions. The research they have made, they want to contribute to whatever you are discussing about. The classroom experience will be extremely awesome. It will be extremely awesome. So yeah, and I love that you command more respect as a teacher, because they will love your class, they will love you as a person. So that's what digital classroom can do for you. So I hope you can see the difference now between beyond the classroom and in the classroom, some of the things you can do. And I for what I've said so far, you observe that what I've said, they are not costly. They are things that you personally can do with phone and laptops. And then if you are lucky enough, you have projector, you can even ask your what's it called? Even if they cannot buy the screen, let them just get projector 20,000 naira. Let them just get a projector of 20,000 or 25,000 naira, and then project on the wall, and then have your laptop on the lights. Or even if you don't have projector, you have your laptop, you can show it to your students. Let them. So you can with this without spending a lot, you can create that classroom for your student. Well, a case where you are using, and some schools are even lucky, you have a digital board. Like I do, when I was in school, I went to, they have a digital board. What I do is you display whatever you have on the screen, and then you are highlighting important points. Mr. Olasukomi Okwefa usually use this a lot in his classroom as an English teacher. Students will come around on that digital board. They will mark which one is correct, which one is not correct. They will highlight it. And then you also highlight a particular point to emphasize. So students are taking note of that point because they are seeing it. And then you are using an highlighter to highlight it. Even on Zoom, you can do that. You can create a digital whiteboard. And then some of the points you want them to note, you highlight it like that. So these are, you can do it beyond the classroom and even the classroom. I hope you have written some things that I will ask you. What are the things you want to do in your classroom now, and then beyond your classroom? How you are going to create a digital classroom? You are going to be doing that now. Start doing that in the comment box. Start doing that in the comment box. in the classroom, what are some of the things that you are going to introduce now? Then outside the classroom, what are the things you are going to be doing now? Put it in the comment box while I begin to explain this finally. I've just treated about 4 or 6 slides. I have about 17 slides. I won't be able to teach a lot. It's a whole lot. I could spend about 4 or 5 hours in this workshop. But it's a lecture, not a workshop anyway. So let me talk about how you can create a digital classroom from what I've seen, what I've written here. Number 1, create a digital management system. When we talk about a digital management system, I have taken you through a particular process. I hope you are doing my activity. I've given you an activity. I'm a teacher in the classroom. You are my students, so I want you to that's in the night time anyway. But I want everybody to participate. That's what I'm saying. To create a digital system, you have a system where you have a system of using digital tools to get information, to create content. You have a system to communicate. You have a system to evaluate. You have a system to feedback, and everything is digitally. They are digitally made. That is a digital management system. And then, apart from that, you have all your material, all your content. Like I do ask my students, my teachers now. I ask teachers, okay, how many of you have e-classes, e-contents for your students? In fact, it will go as far back as there was a time I was asking a teacher, all these exam that you are doing, all your exam questions, do you have a system, a management system where all of them they are in soft copy and they are in your drive, they are cloud based? He said no. I said, yeah, this is not like it at all. As an educator now that is digitally inclined, every topic that you have must have a digital content. If you have not done it, I'm giving you a task now. If you don't have that before, start creating it. Now, digital content can be in form of presentation, that's PowerPoint, can be in form of text. Like, when I was sending this presentation, I sent, maybe I've not sent it, but I will send it. I sent, apart from the PowerPoint, I sent if I've not sent it, I will send it. Maybe I didn't remember. I have a test. Apart from this PowerPoint, I have a test for this class that I will send to you, where you have a test like in Word document format. You have a PowerPoint, and then you also have a audio content. You also have a what is it called? A video content. So you have a text content, you have a audio content, you have a video content. Three content. So, and then you have a system where every single topic, you have all these contents in place. They are well structured and placed in where they're supposed to be. There was a time I was telling someone, if you are not organized digitally now, you are missing out. Your Google Drive should be such that you have content arranged. When we talk about physical chemistry, you have contents, energetics, chemical equilibrium, chemical rate of reaction. You have content on that, video, audio, and the likes. And then you have created a system for them. On your laptops, on your phone, there are spaces for them that you have created. And then all these contents are there, all these videos are there. And then your evaluation as well. That is why when they say, a lot of time when they are doing competition in the local government where I stay, and they need question, if you call me today and say, give us question on chemical equilibrium, I will just go to my management system, chemical equilibrium. It brings about 100, 200 questions out, and I will send to you, bye-bye. Or I will even share the link to you. Go and do this. That is how it should be now. Because I have said, I told myself, my target is, I want to go as paperless as possible. All my contents are created digitally. I have digital content for all my classes, all topics as far as chemistry is concerned. And then based on each of them, I also have evaluation and feedback activities on each of these contents. I have video content for them. I have audio content. I have a simulated classroom for them. I also have test content. So, and then you are now creating a system where you can put all of these things and put them in a very and well arranged. So start creating a digital system. Then use this digital system, number 2. Then number 3, start going paperless. You might not go in a whole time. You are not using paper. No. Gradually, bit by bit, you can say, okay, I want to introduce another thing. Our exam this time is going to be online, a digital one. Or you can say, some of this class, I'm not going to hold it in the class. I'm going to have it, and then I'm going to assess it. Or you can combine both, blended, like I've said. Blended is the best. You can say you will have a digital, a virtual class like TEDx that I create. We also have a traditional class. So in that traditional class, what we do is just to interact. So you go paperless as much as possible. You're evaluating students using different evaluation tools. You'll be taught that you're creating videos using different tools, etc. So again, you have students share what they have learned digitally. I love this a lot. You have students share what they have learned digitally. Sometimes I hold a class, a traditional class, and I said, send me your answer via Google Drive. Send me this answer via what's it called? Kahoot or Nearpod. Send me this answer. Go to my TEDx page and send me this answer. Or I say, okay, send this answer to my mail. So your student, you are not only doing it, you are also engaging your student. You are helping them to go paperless as well. So they are able to share whatever they are learning. And then in fact, I go to the extent of making students to create videos and then send it on YouTube. And I create the link. Every one of the classroom go to that YouTube link. I put them in groups. Okay, this is what you have learned. Summarize whatever you have learned, and then of course create a learning experience. Assume that I am your teacher. Assume all your friends are they are your student and you are the teacher. This group teach us on a particular stuff like this. Create that video on YouTube. Give us the link. Let us all of us watch and then let us access. In fact, to make it more collaborative, when they put it on YouTube, I ask some of my colleagues all over the place to also access them. So I'm collaborating. That means they also give the assessment on some of these things that the students have done. So you are creating a very enriching experience. And then you create digital assessment with immediate feedbacks. Digital assessment with immediate feedback, like I do it with TEDx. TEDx is good. Nearpod is good with that a lot. And then to create a digital classroom, create digital projects. Create projects that will make your student and yourself go digital. That will make them go digital. Like I've done, like I've said, for some of my projects, all my students have projects to do every year, every time. And then in your projects, sometimes I might decide that this time you are creating PowerPoints with videos. You back up with videos. So come and present in the class. I would have watched your video, and then you are going to project your point using PowerPoints in the classroom. So I compare what you say in the video and the live. So you're also engaging them. You are creating projects. I can say, okay, you have friends from India and they want to watch your video, your demonstration about this, your knowledge about this topic, about a particular topic, and you're going to practicalize it. Create a video about it, send it to the YouTube, and then we now create a collaborative class. We have about 4 classes. I will tell them my students are here to teach you about a particular way to watch this video, and then all of them, each of the students will now begin to ask themselves, okay, you said this, our teacher told us this, can you explain for that? I want to even check whether my students understand the concept, and whatever answer they are giving, I will be scoring them. I will also ask my colleagues to score them as well. So these are enriching experience that you are creating for your students. So these are steps you can use to create a digital classroom. Our time is fast spent. Let me begin to round off. So far, I've touched about 19. I've talked about 6 to 7 slides out of 17 slides I have. It's a whole lot. It's about 3 days. This seminar I'm giving you is about 3 days seminar. So I'm very, very sorry for taking your time. So so far so good. We have looked at what is digital literacy. A lot of people have not answered my question. Only Joy Okocha, Esther Umoru that have answered my question. I need us, please. If you are still there, let me know you are still there. Please let me know. Are we all still here? We are almost rounding up. We are very sorry. I'm very sorry for taking long. If you are still here, let me know. If you are still here, let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Oh, my video has stopped. I didn't even know. Sir. If you are still here, let me know. Only 4 persons. Okay. So I want you to do that assessment. As from what I've said, what are you going to be doing inside the class and beyond the classroom that will make your class digitally inclined? I want to have your feedback, please. So let me summarize whatever I've done and ask you to ask a question in the next 3 minutes while I give a partition. We close exactly by 10. So far so good. I've talked about digital literacy, your ability to you create content, you get information, you create content, you communicate your content, you evaluate your content, you get feedbacks using digital information and communication technologies, using digital technologies and tools. That's digital literacy. And I said it has stages from being naive to digital literate. That means you can begin to do few things digitally and then become digital fluent. You are fluent. You can do a wide range of things in the digital space. So your target now is to move from being naive to digital literate, and then from digital literate to being digitally fluent. So I said those are the 3 stages. I said that we have digital skills. They complement your digital literacy. As an educator, it's also possible that you are trained as an educator. You don't have a skill of an educator. Very possible. So the skills enhances whatever you know as a digital literate. So I was not able to talk about the skill in depth. The skill are there in the slides, from problem solving to communication to creative thinking to collaboration. Those are critical skills in the digital space. And being digital literate is not enough. You have to be creative with it. How do you make your class, even with what you know, how do you make it more interesting? How do you do this? How do you do that? How do you solve this problem? How do you collaborate with others? So it is not enough for you to be digital literate. You have to be skillful with it. And then I mentioned about digital skill gap. I talk about why we have digital skill gap and some of the things we can do to bridge that gap now. Taking owning your own skill, identifying the skills that you need, you write them down, and then owning those skills. You have to identify those digital skills. Digital skill in the slide, go through it, and then highlight the skills that you have, the ones that you do not have, write them down, set a target for them, and then you are saying that, oh, this digital skill in month 1, I want to ensure collaboration. I want to be collaborative enough. So begin to own your collaborative skill, and after that, you do another one like that, and then we talk. So you can put that gap. Then we talk about digital classroom, where you are using digital tools and you are collaborating with international classroom. And then we talked about how you can create in a simple way, how you can create a digital classroom. We talked about the importance of digital classroom, and then the habits you must cultivate as a digital educator. So let me go through whatever you have said. We are around in the next 3 minutes. Okay, very good, very good, very good. I can see a lot of things. I'll give you the worksheet. You can also do that. I love this. I will refer to this. I'm trying to screenshot all of these responses now. So I will go over it very well. Okay. Now, as I round off this classroom, do we have 1 or 2 things that you want to say? If you have 1 or 2 things to say, Can you raise up your hand, whether probably feedback or a question? Of course, the work group will assess you. Don't worry, you'll be assessed. I will assess whatever you learn. Don't worry. If you have one of the feedback about this class or you have a question to ask, let me know. In 1 minute, I will do that, and then I'll give you a parting shot because of our time. Okay, I think so. What everybody is saying, that the class is well understood. You understand everything clearly, and then you understand the steps and the actions you need to take now. If that is the case, put yes in the comment box. You understand the class clearly. You understand what being digital literate means, how you can create digital classroom, how you can learn your digital skills and everything. You understand, and the actions, the goals you have to set, and the actions you have to take immediately. If you understand and everything is clear to you, please put it in the comment box that yes, it is clear. Please, let's quickly do that as a random. I want to be very sure you understand the class. I usually like a very good feedback. Oh, very good, awesome. Now, as we round off, the world is moving to digital classroom now. The world is moving to the digital space now, and then teachers that are not maximizing this, they are going to be left redundant. So to make sure that you are relevant, to make globally inclined, you need to be digital literate, cultivate digital skills, cultivate good digital good habits of digital educators, and then begin to create digital classroom, and then of course begin to use as much digital tools as possible to enhance your classroom learning. Having said all this, if you can do this, you become a digital educator. On that note, see you at the top. I want you to become a digital educator. I will be doing the class. Have a lovely night. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sir, you did a great